Meantime, we want to turn the page to something I think that will bring a bit more of a smile to our face as far as just think about the general news lately. And I just love to tell great stories. And I'm so excited here to introduce our new guest here. We've got Lindsay Orr joining us. Lindsay, you're a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu brown belt. You actually just won a world championship tournament in Vegas. And I can't say, I'm just so impressed by your story of how quickly you've risen to this level. And for folks who don't remember, we've got Amro Wariat, who's with our assignment desk. So for folks who call in, sometimes he's answering the phones, but he's also an MMA enthusiast, and I know that you have some experience as well. So he's been really additive for these conversations. So thank you both for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so I'm going to let Lindsay and Amro take it away here because, Amro, you have the best questions, and I know you're in the world, if you will, of MMA, so I know you've got some great insights. So let's pass it off to Amro. What's your first question for Lindsay?
I feel like a lot of people don't ever see, they hear about, like, yeah, you won a world championship. They don't ask, how did you get into the sport? Like, what made you decide this is what I want to do in my free time?
Yeah, great question. I think it was kind of random for me. It was right after COVID, 2021, the year after COVID. I was in California at the time, and I was getting really bored of working out in my gym, alone. I was missing the connection, and I was just getting bored of my, same workouts. And so jiu-jitsu started getting big, like celebrities like Jonah Hill and Mark Zuckerberg, Tom Hardy were all getting into it. So I was hearing more about it, and I started checking out some gyms in the area, really looking for something that aligned with my values. And the second gym I went to was just amazing. It was small, very welcoming people, great beginners classes. So I just felt like it was a great place for me to get my start. Shout out, that was Domination in Oakland. Great place. Yeah. And
Awesome.
Yeah, the rest is history from there.
Awesome. And where do you train now? You train at Charlotte with me.
Yep.
And tell us a little bit about your journey there, and what did you start competing before or after coming to Checkmat Charlotte?
Yeah, so I never got into it wanting to compete. I wanted, like I said, a hobby connection, which I found. I moved from California to Charlotte 3 years ago, and when I moved, my professor, he introduced me to Checkmat and Michael Allen there. And when I first went, I definitely felt like a fish out of water. I mean, you might know. Yes. It's a big school, highly competitive. Right away, the gym was stifling hot. It was really fast paced. I felt like I was being pushed to my limits. But I stuck with it. I found that all the welcoming vibe there too. Everyone was really supportive. Amazing women's class, which is hard to find, I think, in jiu-jitsu. It's called a Queen's class, and I started doing that to get comfortable with, just the women, and then I started integrating more, feeling that support. And they were all competing. And so I thought, might as well give it a shot.
Right. And I can attest that everybody in the gym was also very welcoming. I was new a few months ago, and I found the transition to be a lot easier than when I actually even first joined. But tell us a little bit about competing for that world championship. So when did you make that decision? When did you take that leap and decide I need to start getting ready now? Yeah. And how long did it take you?
So I was setting that goal in the beginning of the year. I had gone to Worlds last year as a blue belt, and I got knocked out in the first round. But I didn't really put the preparation in that I probably should have. And so going into this year, I knew I had to hit some major competitions right away to prepare myself. And so I went to PANS last March. That's like the first major one you want to hit. And I won gold there at blue belt. And then I was promoted to purple belt on the podium, which was really exciting. And so the next challenge was competing at purple belt. I lost my first purple belt competition in Atlanta, but it was a close match. I felt good about it, and so I turned it around the next month, and I won in Charlotte at the major IBJJF there. And so I thought, okay, I think I can do this. Like, let's challenge myself. Let's go for Worlds. And so for Worlds prep, you want at least like 6 weeks of training. I got kind of a slow start because I had my birthday in July and I had a vacation planned. And so coach was not that excited about that. But I knew I had to turn around quick. And so, and he helped me, and all the girls did too. So I, immediately started doing doubles, training in the morning at 6 a.m. and then coming right back around at 6:30. Cardio, that was a huge one, hitting the assault bike on off days. But really, you're training every day. You might have one day off. You're also really watching what you eat at the same time. And so it is pretty grueling, So I had about
Right.
5 weeks of that leading up to Worlds. But at the end of the day, definitely all worth it.
Was there like was there something in specific that was hindering, made it a little bit harder than usual to train? Was there like any obstacles that came into your way as you were training?
I would say, work was getting really tough. I have a full-time job. I'm in HR. We had a big project going on. And so there were a couple of evenings where I couldn't go in and train, and then there's just added stress to that of, you're thinking about, I got to, make sure I get my work done, my day job done. Jiu-jitsu at the end of the day is, what I do in my free time. It's my hobby. And so you have to prioritize. And then also cutting weight makes it really hard, especially when you need that energy
Right.
To keep training. But I think, if your mind's in it, this is what you have to do, and you have the community and support around you, you can do it.
Right.
Yeah.
One of the coolest things, if I could just hop in here, is learning that you got your brown belt in less than 4 years. And so that as a non, MMA person, I feel like that's super inspiring, because I think some people feel like, well, I haven't been doing this my whole life. Maybe I haven't done it since childhood like some people have. Maybe it's too late for me. I think that's so
no.
cool.
It's very impressive.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I would say, I didn't get into jiu-jitsu until I was in my 30s. So it's definitely never too late to start. I am considered, it's the master's division once you are past your 20s. And so jiu-jitsu is one of those things you can do at any age. I follow, 80-year-old women on Instagram who are doing jiu-jitsu. It's for everyone. It's for every body type. And really, it's all about your own journey. You shouldn't compare yourself to someone else, or, how fast they did it, or how well they're doing, or, how many competitions they're winning. It's really a journey between you and your coach. And it's all about the effort and the time you want to put into it.
Yeah. Do you feel like folks at work go, whoa? Because I just think about, HR and then jiu-jitsu. And I'm not saying they're completely opposite. I wouldn't say that, but, it's all about navigating interpersonally at work. And then this different way of navigating interpersonally when you get on the mat.
Yeah, I think it makes for a great story. I do have one instance where I usually work remote, and I had a leadership on-site event last year right after a competition where I had gotten kneed in the eye.
Ooh.
And I had a huge gash and a huge bruise on my eye. And so I came into that leadership event, and I had to actually hold a workshop as well. And everyone was just like, what happened to you? So everyone quickly found out I do jiu-jitsu after that. But I think it helps people relate to me too, because, HR can be kind of scary. You think you might not want to engage in a conversation with someone in HR. You think they don't have your best interest in mind, or you don't really get to know them. And so I think it opened up, a lot of opportunities for people to, want to talk to me, get to know me a little better, and know that I am a real person with hobbies, and I also get black eyes.
Yeah. Armo, you wouldn't know anything about that.
I do happen to come in here sometimes
Yes,
having to
I've
wrap
seen
or
it.
ice something, but occasionally. Kind of moving away from your accomplishment on the world stage, how does jiu-jitsu fit into your normal life? I mean, how does it make you feel now? When you walk out in public, do you feel safer? Do you feel, just for people that don't train, who are thinking about getting into that space?
Oh yeah, I think jiu-jitsu brings so many different benefits. I try to keep a balance where, I don't dedicate too many things, I don't want anything to control my life. And so work gets its place, family, friends, jiu-jitsu. I try to balance it all out. And I do think they all complement each other. Jiu-jitsu, yes, number one, it's great for defense, especially for women. You do feel like you have some of the skills you need if, God forbid anything did happen. Luckily, I've never had to use it in the real world, but I do feel like I would be able to at least, fend off danger for as much as I needed before I could just book it out of there and run away, right? And then it also just brings, an amazing community. I've met so many cool people. Like I said, jiu-jitsu is for everyone. And so I'm sure you've seen in the class, you could be rolling with like a doctor, a cop,
Right.
this like 20-year-old software engineer, a dad. It's amazing. And we're all in there to do the same thing. And the support and camaraderie is just like unmatched. So that is a huge part of it, is the community. And then just like the physical activity. It's a great workout, the cardio and the strength training that goes involved with it. So
Admittedly, I was almost 300 pounds when I joined jiu-jitsu at first.
amazing.
And it was because of that journey that
Mhm.
I feel like it gives you a raise in your confidence,
Yeah.
and I'm sure you can attest to that as well.
Absolutely.
And kind of now moving back to your competition, being there, you know that everyone is training as much as you are, or you have an idea that everybody's training a lot,
Yep.
that everybody is going to bring it as much as possible to the table. What are your thoughts in that moment? I know there's jitters, there's a little bit of fear. Were you excited? What was going through your head?
Yeah, I was excited. I try to stay pretty calm, and I think I do a pretty good job of just like regulating myself before competitions. And I don't go into it thinking about the outcome. I go into it thinking, okay, I did the work. I'm going to do my best out there. I just want to be proud of my performance and make sure that I am putting it all on the line. At the end of the day, if I do that, no matter what the outcome is, I'll be happy. And so that's how I approach it. And I think it puts, some pressure off of you, not searching for that gold medal. Of course you want to win, but that at the end of the day was not my main goal. And so I felt pretty good going in. I try not to psych myself out by like looking at my competition or I try to stay focused in and not really look at anyone around me.
Mm-hmm.
And so you just take it one match at a time, not try to rush it. Though at the end of the day, it is a blur, and it goes by really quick.
And how does your family kind of take in what you're doing?
Yeah.
You did start this thinking it was just going to be a hobby, and now it's turned into something a little bit more than that.
Yeah, I think it was surprising for them as well, but at the same time, not surprising, because I'm one of those people, like, when I start something, I don't quit, and I am just going to keep going with it. So I don't think they were that surprised at, like, how quickly I, just wanted to put my all into it.
Mm-hmm.
In my family, I have a lot of, they're pretty active too. I have a lot of cousins who've done like wrestling, have tried MMA, brothers who have tried MMA. And so I think it kind of fit in with, our active lifestyle. Yeah. And my mom, she is probably the one who is most nervous for me. She didn't actually see me compete until this year. And so it took her a while. I think she was working it up but it was a great experience for her. And she's so, so proud of me.
So you can definitely say that jiu-jitsu was one of those things that kind of added to your lifestyle.
Oh, absolutely. I think they're just excited that I have something that's really motivating me, that I'm excited to do every day. And they've seen the influence that it's had on, my, friendships, my, physical activity, all of that.
How would you recommend someone who's not part of this get into it?
Yeah.
If they're just like a total newbie.
I mean, the hardest part is getting through the door. That is literally the hardest part of jiu-jitsu, because a lot of people don't know what it is or what to expect. And so it can be really intimidating walking into a room of people who can fight, and it can be pretty structured. And so I think I would just encourage people, if you're thinking about it, try it. Try a trial class. At the end of the day, you're going to get an experience out of it, and if you don't like it, fine, but you might actually love it. And so I encourage you to just try it.
Yeah. And any recommendations for picking a place that
Ooh.
feels good to you, right?
Yes.
That feels personal, I think.
I think everyone, jiu-jitsu, they're looking for something different in a place. Of course, I am biased with Checkmat is amazing. We have so many supportive people, that competitive environment, and amazing women's program. But I think, the trial classes give you a great opportunity to really figure out, like, okay, what's the vibe here? How much structure do I want? Do I want something competitive? Do I want to make sure there's other women in the room? Do I want to make sure there's beginner classes? Really think through those things and do your research.
Yeah. This has been such a great conversation. Amro, do you have anything before we wrap things up?
No, I'm okay. Thank you.
Lindsay, is there anything we didn't ask that you'd like to add?
Oh, that's hard. I don't think so. I think, in this world where, jiu-jitsu is becoming really popular for women, you know, and men. It used to be just like a men's sport, so I just encourage a lot of women to try it out. I think it's a great benefit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds neat. And once again,
Mhm.
I'm just so inspired that you took to it so well and so quickly, and just, I love that, you know.
Thank you.
It feels like a good inspiration. So, Lindsay Orr, once again, thanks so much for joining us, and congrats on your win.
Thank you so much.
World champ. Amro, thank you as always,
Thank
folks.
you.
You might see Amro pop in now and again. Once again, Amro is with our assignment desk here at WCNC Charlotte.